morning, everyone. Welcome back. It is Grace Bella. I woke up this morning at like 3 with a pretty nasty stomach flare, so I'm going to be taking it very easy the rest of the day, and I thought it would be a good opportunity to film a day in my life reading vlog style video because I'm already planning on just having a cozy day of reading and relaxing, and I thought it would be fun to share with you my thoughts on my current books I'm reading, which right now I'm only reading 2, which I guess 2 is still a lot to read at the same time, but I'm reading Goddesses in Every Woman. I'm really not too far into that. You can see I'm really not too far in, but I think it's because I've been kind of doing like a rough, not even annotation, like I'm just underlining some things I find interesting with some different colors. She talks about different archetypes in women and she personifies them as Greek goddesses. And it's really interesting. She talks about how there's different stages in our lives that activate different goddesses, but also there's always goddesses activated in us, and once we find out what goddesses are activated in us, it'll make our lives easier and like other people's lives around us easier. It's just really interesting. I got this a few months ago and I started the first like 10 pages and then I did not pick it up again because I was just kind of in a rereading kind of mood. But I've just started this now again last week and I'm really excited to be reading it and gaining knowledge. And the second book I'm reading, more like sorry, my throat is a little crazy. The second book I'm reading, but more like rereading, is Catching Fire. Something about my relationship with the Hunger Games series is that I am always in a perpetual reread. I just think that this series is so great. It's my favorite. It was what made me love reading when I was younger. And I think rereading this series as an adult and no longer a kid is just so crazy because you really see it in different ways. Because the first time I read this series, I was 12 years old, I think. Yeah, I had to have been like 11 or 12. And I really identified more with Katniss, even though she was 16, because even though I'm a middle child, I have a younger sister. And I feel like when I was reading about Katniss's relationship with her younger sister and always wanted to protect her younger sister for everything, I really pictured my own younger sister. And I think that's kind of partially what made me so interested in the series, because I knew what it was like to want to protect your siblings from any harm's way at all. And I was also reading the Lovely Bones at the same time I was reading The Hunger Games when I was younger. I don't know what business I had reading The Lovely Bones when I was in like 6th grade, by the way. I do remember getting that out of my middle school library, but I can't believe I read that in 6th grade. Man, I was such a reader back then and I'm not as good of a reader anymore. But I think I'm going to have some of my tea, and then I think I'm going to change out of my nightgown, because even though my nightgowns are extremely comfy, I feel like my day isn't really started until I'm changed out of my nightgown, so we'll see what I throw on. I wanted a little snack, and my mom likes making different gluten-free sourdough loaves. So this is a slice from her strawberry white chocolate loaf. So I'm going to drizzle a little bit of honey and then slice up some strawberries, put it on there. And then I think I'm just going to read some more. I've been reading for about 2 hours and I wanted to take a quick break and share with you some of the catching fire book to movie differences that I really dislike. And honestly, I'm just going to be talking about a specific few, kind of like my main ones, but I could talk about these forever for like every single book. But starting off, I want to talk about Darius and Lavinia, and I do apologize if I pronounce any of these names incorrectly, but Darius and Lavinia are two people that Katniss comes in contact with in District 12. Darius is a peacekeeper who she hangs out with at the Hob, who is taken by the Capitol because he interferes with Gale's whipping. And Lavinia is originally from the first Hunger Games book. I don't actually know if Darius is from the first Hunger Games book as well. I can't remember. But in the first one, Katniss and Gale are walking through the woods and she sees a girl and a boy. The girl is Lavinia, running through the woods away from something, and a hovercraft appears and it kills the boy and it takes Lavinia. And Lavinia and Darius are both made into Avoxes as punishment for, I guess, their crimes against the Capitol. And I've seen online that the reason the Avox storyline wasn't added into the movies is because it would require an R rating instead of a PG-13, which does make sense to me, but I do feel like I miss his character in the movies. Like, whenever I read these books, his friendship with Katniss just always makes me laugh. And really all of Katniss's friendships are taken out of the movies other than Gale and Peeta, which frustrates me. I feel like the entire scene between him and her at the Hob just shows how she is involved in that community, like the Hob community and the community of District 12, and she has, you know, like friends and stuff. And it's not really translated in the movies. In the movies, really all we see her with is Gale and Peeta and Prim. And up next is Madge Undersea. Madge was Katniss's friend in the Hunger Games books, and she was also originally the one to give Katniss the Mockingjay pin, and she asked Katniss to wear it in the games as a token, which she did, and then it became a token slash symbol for the rebellion. And we now know from Sunrise on the Reaping that it was originally Maisley's pin, which is just so amazing. And I'm so upset that we won't get that connection in the movies. Like, I know it's book canon, and I really come to accept that like book canon and movie canon are two different things, but I just truly wish it was movie canon. Katniss and Madge were also kind of reflections of each other. Madge's mom had a mystery illness that left her, you know, like in bed for days, which is similar to Katniss's mom going through that deep depression when Katniss's father dies. So Katniss and Madge both share the fact that their mothers have both been super burdened by their grief, and so much so that they weren't really able to take care of their daughters. The next thing I'm going to talk about, I actually have notes on because it's just like a whole scene. But when Katniss is coming back from the woods and catching fire and she realizes that the fence is electrified, she hurts herself like getting over the fence. She gets home to find Prim, her mom, Haymitch, Peeta, and two peacekeepers who are waiting for her to basically not show up so they can have an excuse to get her in trouble or like arrest her. You know, it's just, the fence was a whole thing set up by the Capitol. So Katniss makes up a story about not being able to find the goat man, and the entire group kind of just breaks into this flow with like making up a story. They start tossing the peppermints that Katniss had in her bag around the room, and they just make the very tense scene much less tense, and the peacekeepers end up leaving because they don't have anything on her. But when the peppermints were being tossed around, Peeta realized that Katniss was injured. So after the peacekeepers left, he carried her upstairs. And keep in mind, he is still walking on like a newly prosthetic leg, which he doesn't really know how to use. And he's walking her up the stairs, and she asks him to stay with her. And it's just like a really sweet scene. But after that is even what's better, in my opinion. And on page 207, there's a quote that says, "Peeta comes by every day to bring me cheese buns and begins to help me work on the family book," which is a family heirloom from her mother's side. It's like an herbalist book, but her father started adding edible plants to it when they got together. An edible plant section which Katniss used to keep their family alive, specifically when Katniss's mom was going through that major depression and Katniss had to be the one to care for the family. And Katniss always wanted to add her own knowledge from the games or being with Gale or just her own time in the woods, but because the drawings have to be super, super precise, because if not, you could eat the wrong thing and die. She never felt like confident enough to add anything, but Peeta, being such a great artist, helps out in that department. And he, you know, like sketches everything first until she says it's good, and then he puts it into the book, and then she writes down her knowledge, and they just spend so much time together while she is healing from her injury. He carries her up and down the stairs every single day for like a change of scenery for her. It's just really sweet, and I don't think we got to see a lot of sweet moments like that, or at least my favorite moments in the books we didn't see in the movies. Katniss thinks up an entire passage of his hands as he works on the book, his face as he concentrates, and how his eyelashes look in the sunlight. Like, it's so obvious that she had a crush on him, but she just couldn't accept her feelings because she's in such like a survival mode. To me, this was an example of what their life could look like if the games didn't exist. And correct me if I'm wrong, because sometimes I forget what is canon, what is fanon, but I'm pretty sure at the end of Mockingjay, they start working on the book again together. So it's kind of like a whole, you know, full circle moment. And I don't know, I just really, really love that scene. If you don't read the books and you're still watching at this point and you're okay with spoilers, I really hope that this inspires you to read the books, because there's so many great moments that we don't see in the movies at all. And the last thing for now before I start reading again is the class division in District 12, and really everywhere, but specifically District 12 is kind of completely erased. If you don't know, in District 12 there is the Seam and the Merchants, and the Seam consists of people who have features more similar to Katniss and Gale in the books, which is olive skin, dark hair, gray eyes, and the Merchants, which are more blonde hair, blue eyes. And Katniss's mom is originally from the Merchant class, so we see that she has, you know, like that blonde hair. And in the books, Gale and Katniss are described as looking very similar because they have those same features. Other than looks-wise, a big difference between the Merchant families and the Seam families is that the Merchant families did not need to take out Tesserae. And now that I'm saying that, I don't even know if Tesserae, actually those are canon in the movies, I think. I'm pretty sure she says something to Prim about Tesserae. But the Merchant families do not need to take out Tesserae because their families have enough to eat. And as a result, the families from the Seam who are taking Tesserae and putting their names in multiple times, I think Gale's name is in like 40 something times in the 74th Hunger Games, this results in the Seam families being much more likely to be reaped into the Hunger Games. And not only are the Seam children more likely to be reaped, but they're more likely to be malnourished and weak, so they stand even less of a fighting chance in the Hunger Games, even though the odds are really against them in every way. It's just like another example of the odds being against them. The Capitol uses Tesserae to divide the citizens and classes, because if they're busy fighting each other, they won't be able to focus on fighting the real enemy. And I think that also makes me think of the quote from this book and also Sunrise on the Reaping, remember who the real enemy is. It's another full circle moment that I just really wish could have been translated a little bit more to the movies. Look what just showed up at my doorstep. I talked about this perfume brand in my last video where I was talking about my most complimented products, and they just sent me one of their new perfumes. So I'm going to do a reaction on camera. It says the top notes are coconut milk and pear, the mid are tiare and hinoki, and the dry are smoked musks and black amber. Very fun. Ooh. I like this like minty color a lot. I am so excited. I don't know what hinoki or tiare is. I also, again, I'm probably pronouncing these things wrong, so I do apologize. But I'm just gonna rip the box. I think that those are earthy scents, if I'm not mistaken. but I don't know, we'll see. I think this is going to be mostly coconut, hence the cocoa name. In my last video, I actually talked about how one of my most complimented fragrances is one of their other coconut scents. So that's awesome. Super pretty. Okay, let's give it a smell. Ooh, that smells really good. This smells kind of like florally to me. I wonder if one of those things are a flower, because it's like a subtle sweetness. I don't even have that much coconut. I guess it's more coconut milk than like coconut flavoring. Sorry, my AC just went on. It's kind of like smoky as well. I can smell the pear, definitely. It's not something, I don't really immediately smell it and think pear, but now that I'm smelling it, I can definitely smell the pear. Oh my goodness, that's really good. It's kind of like tropical, flowery smelling. I don't know if that makes sense, but I worked in a florist, and this smells like some kind of flower to me, but it's really good. Wow. I might be wearing this like every single day of spring. They usually come out with different things for different seasons, so maybe this is like one of their new spring summer fragrances. I really like this though. If you didn't watch my other video, I talked about how I like perfume smells that are a little bit more androgynous. For example, one of my favorite scents is a cologne, and this brand definitely makes things that are a little bit more androgynous, cologne-y. I really like this scent. This might be one of my new favorites, but I'm going to test it out and see how it wears during the day. It's really good though, if you guys like any of those scents I mentioned. If I could set a scene with this, I would say that it reminds me of like a spring, late afternoon, evening bonfire, or I don't know if a bonfire is right, maybe more of a marshmallow roasting or like a little fire pit going on. That's kind of what this is giving to me, with the smokiness and the little floral and the pear. It's really good, and I love this color. I think it's such a pretty minty color. Something else I got in the mail are a bunch of pictures that I ordered, so I'm going to put them in my new photo album because I officially finished my other one in, I think I finished it right around 2025, like right around the beginning of January. So I have pictures in here from January up until like last month. I usually order every like 1 to 2 months. I got this photo album thrifting, and it has little spots to write in the side, but we'll see if I get to that today. Good morning, everyone. I ate some breakfast and then I got dressed because we are going to the botanical gardens today to get some more reading done. I'm bringing both of my reads because I feel like I'm probably going to finish Catching Fire there. I only have about like 50-ish pages left, so I am going to finish that, continue my other book, do some walking around. I am hoping that we might be able to see some birds. I'm bringing my binoculars, and I'm just excited to see what's in bloom. I haven't been in a while because my schedule has just been so busy and gas has been so pricey. I usually like to go once a week, or I used to go once a week, but I don't know, now it's more like once a week, once a month-ish. So I'm really excited to see what we can find. There are so many birds. I feel like you can probably hear some of them. This path looks so magical with the water and the flowers next to it. So I am having a nice time. The only thing is that there are so many bugs, and I think I've walked through at least maybe 8 spider webs on my legs because I wear shorts. So maybe that wasn't the best idea today, but I'm still having a really nice time. Everything is so green. I just finished catching fire, and I think I'm going to find a new space to sit and read my new book because there are so many bugs near this bush. It's really quite buggy in general today, but I'm hoping I can find somewhere with a little less bugs because they just keep hitting my legs and I keep swiping at them and I get distracted from the book. I am sitting at a new bench and I'm going to continue reading Goddesses in Every Woman. I think I'm probably going to read more of this at home because my allergies have been bothering me a lot. Thank goodness I brought tissues and snacks, but I think I'm ready to go home in probably another 10 minutes, but I want to get some reading done from this book. I took a shower and I did a bunch of cleaning, and I'm just about to have a little like yogurt bowl with fruit, oops, and some granola my mom made for dinner, and then I'm going to go to sleep because I'm so tired. I think it's because I have my period right now that I'm just like extra tired, but I think I'm going to do some more reading and then pass out. But like I said, I'm going to end the vlog here. Thank you guys all so much for watching and spending these 2 days with me. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you have any thoughts on anything I said about catching fire or anything I've said at all. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you're not already. And I will see you all in the next video. If you want to find me anything else, it'll be linked down below. Bye!